And welcome back to the 3 News Show with us and See today. You're watching our signature segment, See the Stories. Now, we are going to talk about a issue that has recently become very common among celebrities that we've mentioned before. We've been hearing this on social media.
Yes.
More and more issues of infidelity.
Well, probably it's not something that just new.
Yeah.
It is not new.
Yeah.
And also in the world of celebrities. But it has been surfaced quite often lately.
Yeah, from rumors to truth.
Yeah, from rumors to truth.
And I think it's because of social medias too, right?
Yeah.
Now, we'll further discuss this matter with the expert in a little bit. But first, let's see this story.
Infidelity is an unfaithful action involving intimate relationships and emotions with someone other than your partner. Although infidelity is often considered controversial and has damaging consequences, it remains an interesting topic to be discussed. Infidelity illustrates the dynamic relationships, emotional challenges, and psychological complexities that can affect individuals within a committed relationship.
And to understand more about infidelity, it is necessary to explore the condition that triggered it, including dissatisfaction, is it poor communication, or even the urge to seek wilder experiences. With a better understanding of infidelity, perhaps we can have more effective strategies in building healthier and more faithful relationships.
Whoa.
I love that. Wilder experience.
Whoa. It's just whoa.
You're hearing an extra laugh because
Ooh, that was quite an explanation.
it is, isn't it?
The way to
Wilder
describe it.
experience.
The way to describe it.
Yeah.
Right?
For the explanation, Kat.
I mean, hello. Didn't you get married to have wild experiences? I don't know.
It's getting spicy. And now, let's learn more about infidelity from a psychological point of view. Joining with us today in the studio, psychologist and sexologist Zoya Amirin. Zoya, thank you.
How are you?
I'm
It's
so
good.
happy
It's been a while,
I don't
right?
see you in Zoom anymore.
Yeah,
I'm happy to
thankfully,
see you
right?
and welcome you to the
Yeah,
studio.
I just told you like it in the makeup room. I was like, it's so not really personal with the Zoom because, you know, there's the delay reaction.
And then you don't get spicy reactions like that.
We don't get to blink something.
So Zoya, please, we want to know what are the common causes in infidelity in relationships?
Based on your research, or probably in anyone's research in the science of psychology.
Yeah, if we're talking about infidelity, there's two experts that I really like to use their research. Yeah. First of all is Tammy Nelson with the book New Monogamy.
Yeah.
And the second of all is Esther Perel with the Rethinking Infidelity.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting. According to Tammy Nelson, usually men, most men actually, when they are having affair, it's almost always because of the sex.
Okay.
Okay.
So, well, almost always because of the sex. But if a woman having affair, it's not just because of the sex. So, yeah, if it happened to the woman, it's like when the sex is not really good enough, it's not fulfilling, they still can like, okay, I'm holding on a little bit more. But when the romance is like gets sour and it's just like, there's no more romance, there's no attention, I don't feel love, and most likely they will having affair.
Okay.
In most cases. But according to Esther Perel, even the happy couple who have like a lot of sex also have a capability to having affair. This is it's more recent than the research of Tammy Nelson, but I like it is very interesting what the founding of Esther Perel research, because she said like some people having affair, if they have like a happy marriage, like happy when you say like they feel loved, you know, the intimacy is there and the passion is also isn't there, the sex is good. sometimes people like to be having affair because they can be the different version of their life. For instance, if you are with your partner, that you can be the version of like, oh, I'm a good mother, I'm a good wife, or I'm a good father, and I'm a good husband. And it's all about responsibilities.
Yeah.
When I'm with this other person, doesn't matter that she is like more pretty, more sexier, more smart or not.
You could just be a different person.
But you can be a different person. For instance, with this person, I can be a cowboy. But with my spouse, I cannot be like that.
Yeah.
I can be like a funny clown.
Yeah.
Is that why people say you should try role playing? I don't know.
It's true.
It's true,
It's
right?
true. Most likely, when people come to me like, "Ma Zoya, like our marriage life, it seems like so dull.
Yeah.
We want to try a lot of like different positions. Like, why? You're gonna get injured. You cannot just like go there and try different position in bed. You know, you first have to try something simple like how many times you kiss in a week. And they was like looking at each other, and I was like, okay, in a month, and they still like.
That's alarming.
It is alarming.
That's alarming. Like,
My question is, how does it get there though? Is because I've had, you know, different conversations with different friends who are my age, mind you, that when you are actually committing to somebody, you are supposed to know whether you are compatible that way or not, right? So what happens? I mean, I also understand the fact that if you have been with somebody for very long, obviously you might change and be curious.
Yes.
So how does it get there if it comes to that?
I like when you say supposed to.
Oh.
Most of us assume when we are into relationship, it's supposed to be exclusive. It's supposed to be like this. You cannot assume a commitment. So when you come into let's say any kind of relationship, you need to be very clear of what kind of commitment do you want. According to Steinberg in the trilogy of love, there's three things that you cannot be missed in your relationship if you want a relationship to be healthy.
Yeah.
And a fair-proof relationship or a fair-proof marriage. That first of all, you need to know your commitment.
Yeah.
Your commitment is casual, semi-casual, or exclusive.
Yeah.
The casual can be like from, you know, one night stand, sex buddy,
Sounds
and
familiar.
friendship benefits.
Hey, we're two married and very committed people. So yeah, we don't relate, hon. We're way past that.
And then semi-casual.
The semi-casual is sometimes they call it like open marriage, open monogamy,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that. You need to be very sure in like what kind of commitment that we really getting into it, you know. So I'm not talking about something like heteronormative kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is like, it is very general.
Yeah.
And the third one is the exclusive. Exclusive commitment, there's also three kind of exclusivity. There's a monogamy, there's a polygamy,
Yep.
and there's like a polyamory. There's
Okay.
a group exclusivity.
So weird.
On that case, let's say we are talking about the norms in Indonesia at the moment. People are drawn into like, of course, being monogamous. But there's actually a concept that is, I might say, unpopular in public at the moment, saying that human is naturally not monogamous. How is your stand towards that?
I agree. But don't forget that we also have a prefrontal cortex
Yeah.
that you can choose to be faithful.
Boys, listen to that.
That's the word.
And the thing is, when you're married, you're supposed to have chosen or at least made the pact, right?
Yeah.
Whether you want to have an open marriage, that's up to you, by the way.
Yeah.
Or
True.
if you want to have the exclusive monogamous marriage.
Yeah, and as you were saying.
Yeah, so you cannot just assume that, okay, since because this is like very common, everybody get married, and you know, when get married, you have to be faithful with one person. You never talk about anything else. Why you not explore a little bit things like, you know, we all capable to love more than one person.
Yeah.
How you will handle that? Did you ever really talk when I'm helping couples to preparing their like premarital counseling and stuff like that? I always ask like, okay, when you get bored, you know, what would you do? When you get bored at your work, did you like, oh, okay, I want to stop working. I just want to quit. So if you bored, which is, it's very human to do you will quit? You will having affair? What would you do? So we talk the hardcore stuff, you know, in relationship, and you get bored, you know, when, you know, there's some stuff that you will not agree with your partner. What would you do? That you need to really get the idea and understand, like, you know, it's very human things to do. So when you need your me time, you have to ask for your me time. You know, you have to like kind of activity that's different with your partner, then it's okay. And you need your me times, and you need your times, you know, to be connected with your partner without talking about bills, like kids, you know, problems.
No, the yes came from those two mothers.
So that's what you recommend. So we don't get bored with our partners. We should have our own life, sort of, right? So whenever we go on our me time and everything, so we have our own.
Aren't we like your husbands? We get some space from time to time.
So we're actually doing okay, right?
We're doing okay.
So that's what you suggest.
Yeah.
If you don't, so
you need to look, you know, keep engaging in you know, your own self, especially for, you know, ladies out there. Whatever, if you are like a working woman, career woman, or like housewife, don't forget that we are as women in this world. You know, I'm not talking literally about the patriarchy part, but usually women is like easier to like losing themselves when they get married. For instance, you know, their husband named Hans, then kind of, okay, Mrs. Hans, they're not calling you by your name anymore. Then if you have a kid, let's say your kid's name like Phoebe, and it's like, oh, hi Phoebe moms, you know, you just keep losing yourself, you know. So it's really hard to be with yourself. So wherever you are, please remember, let's respect other women by calling by their first name, you know.
There we go.
There we go.
Give a recognition, and that you always need time, especially the housewife, you know, moms. You know, you are actually the most, actually really need time out. You really need me time, because sometimes people assume like, hey, you always at home, like all the time, but they never really like having their own me time. And when their husband coming home and she just get cranky and cannot wait to telling about everything that bothering her, and the husband was actually not ready, then there's a reason, you know, sometimes coming out from that, like, oh, I'm so tired every time I'm coming home, and my wife is just like giving me all the problems, like,
He never had to deal with kids. I mean, like, you know, the reason why kids are so loud, they want to connect. And when wives are so loud, we want to connect, right? Am I right?
Now, let's say it happened. What do you suggest are the most effective ways to rebuild trust? Because we all know that after an affair, the only thing, the most thing hurt is the trust. How to rebuild that after an affair? And based on your experience, how long does it take to recover from it?
It depends if you are not denial, if you don't have a toxic positivity that we have, like, oh, I will forgive that for your kids. Seriously, if you really care for your kids, you have to put your marriage first. Because if your marriage screw up, almost always that you think like, okay, staying together, it's like saving the marriage, saving everything, you know, saving your kids from shame, from whatever is that. No, two unhappy people stay at the same house. You're not trying to figure things out just for the sake of how people seeing us. You're not going to raise kids with a good emotional intelligence. You're faking it. So what are you trying to teach your kids about love? Okay, if you love someone and it didn't working out, you don't have to work out. Just stay together.
So
What's the lesson?
I think the biggest taboo $1 million question is if it happens, when would you forgive and when would you move on? what are the red lines or red flags, signs that say, okay, this one you really need to move on? And how do we know that this marriage is still savable?
It's a good question. If it's the first time they're doing it, you know, the first question you should to ask instead of like, oh, what did I doing wrong? It's like, what can we do about it? What happened?
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about blaming yourself, but let's say like, okay, let's put everything on the table. You know I'm angry, then I need to process my feelings. Then we have to work things out. What can we do to, you know, to trust you back and, you know, to have the reciprocal things. But it's very important to really be honest of what actually you need. What bring you to that, you know.
That edge.
Yeah, what make you like, what is it that you're looking for that, you know, that you cannot have it in here? That's the honest conversation you at least can have. Before processing to forgiveness is another part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you understand what's going on in their mind, why they're doing what they're doing, it's not necessarily easy for you to forgive someone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And sometimes you blaming yourself, you know, oh, maybe I'm doing this and I'm doing that and stuff like that. You know, even you like, you have like, you're the most amazing person on earth, you know, so angelic whatsoever. If someone, you know, don't want to work on relationship and they just not going to work on the relationship, sometimes it's not really your fault. It's their bad choices that make you think like that.
Okay, so we've been talking about the things in marriages and stuff like that, but also I'm talking on behalf of single people. Now, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm not married, so I'm eligible to throw this question. In people with no, you know, no bound in marriage, they have different standards of infidelity. So what is considered to be infidel already? Whether it's like text, people say like...
Well, it's still the same
text.
definition for marriage.
Yeah, I mean... still the
same definition.
For marriage. Okay, so is it text already like being infidel? Or let's say DMs on Instagram, on Twitter, considered to be an affair already? Or let's say over dinner? That's just like conversation. Okay, but people who took it to an extreme way, saying that having sex is
Definitely.
definitely an affair. So what is actually the definition or the limit or you know what I'm saying, considered to be an affair?
I have the psychological perspective on this, but what most important is like the boundaries that you actually talking with your spouse. Let's take the Adam Levine case.
Yes.
That's very gray area because in a way he was like, not in a way, he is flirting, right, with Summer or something.
Yeah.
So when he say like apologize in a public, I think a Twitter or something, and he say something like, I'm not cheating. I'm just
Texting.
Yeah.
no, not texting. What he said, like I'm not
Admiring.
cheating, but I'm just like over boundaries or something like that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So he said something like, you know, I'm not cheating. I'm just like doing it too much or stuff like that. And I was like smiling. Don't get me wrong. I'm like huge fans of Maroon 5 and
Yeah,
Adam
yeah.
Levine, right? And I was like, dude, you cannot say something like that because if you're cheating or not, if your wife thinks you are cheating, then you're cheating.
Because it's a perspective of between you two.
Yeah, because you cannot say something like this to your spouse, like, hey, you know, don't do something that you don't want me to do. Like, it's not gonna be easy because, for instance, like, I'm okay if, you know, if, for instance, my spouse going out with their ex. But actually, my spouse is not okay if I'm going out with my ex. Like, so where's the limit of cheating in here?
Yeah.
So you really need to setting boundaries first.
So clear, agree on clear boundaries, what these standards are, because some
Can be
people
physical, can be
Yeah.
like emotional.
yeah, because
So
some people
it's-
have different tolerances.
Yeah, exactly. So it's relative from one
Couple.
relationship, one
Yeah.
couple to another
Yeah.
when it comes to boundaries, if it's an affair or not.
Yeah. And that's very important because you validate your feelings, you validate your partner feelings, you know their boundaries, and you cannot just bulldoze their boundaries, you know, and that's cheating. Because if they are okay with the physical affair, but they're not okay with emotional affair, you cannot just like, oh, you cannot think like that because it's not okay. Like, no, if it's not okay for her, it's not okay for him, and it's not okay for you. You have to respect that.
So you just have to make it clear from the beginning.
You have to make it clear from the beginning. So
I love this thought.
I just, before we go to the next thing, there's one question that's been bothering me. It's been viral on social media, but we need an expert confirmation or clarification. Is the tendency to cheat genetic?
This is hard to answer because genetically, like what Hans is actually asking me, that we are capable to love more than one person. But the thing is, we also have like, you know, akal budi. We have like
Wisdom.
prefrontal
Wisdom,
cortex.
rational thinking.
We have a rational thinking that make us choose to be faithful or not. So you have to know yourself first. So you cannot just like, you cheating and you think like, oh, I think I cannot only be with one person. Then you come, and usually couples coming to me and say like, okay, Mbak Zoya, can you help us? We want to be an open marriage because one of us is cheating. Usually I'm not going to suggest that. I'm going to suggest like healing, please. Let's do something to, you know, build the trust because it's really hard process. And how to dealing, how to like helping your partner, you know, heal their brokenhearted. You know, at the same time that you have to gain their trust, it's a very hard process. So you have to do counseling for that. But if couples coming to me and it's like, okay, we are right now in a relationship, we're thinking about like getting married, but we know that one person is never enough for us. We're thinking about like, I don't know, open marriage, does it work? What should we do? Like
That's
what
already
kind of-
agreed upon from the very beginning, right? Before
Yeah, it's
they
better.
get into marriage.
All right. So
This will never end.
I love it. But before we end our talk with Zoya,
This will never end.
I'd like to have more time. But let's play a game. So this game is myth or fact. So these are for you, Yani and Kai.
Got it.
Of course, have the ladies do it.
Yes. I will read every statement, and you will have to guess whether it's a myth or fact. Then Zoya here will reveal the right
Okay.
answer afterwards.
Jury.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, ladies. Myth or fact? Infidelity only happens in an unhappy relationship. Okay, this is interesting.
Is it fact?
Myth or fact?
Myth.
Really? Okay, what is the explanation to that?
Because even you are happy,
Yeah.
like you are fulfilled, you are happy together, but you know, I just want to be a different person with
Exactly.
Role playing.
But then, is that
Got
still
it.
considered happiness, though, if you can't be experimental and whatever size that you are with that one person?
That's interesting because what is your definition of happiness? Because usually
That
happiness
wouldn't
is
be
like,
my definition of happiness.
Yeah, probably somebody else's definition of
Yeah.
happiness.
That's true. So the happiness, you need to like be very clear. Like, okay, you have like a sexual fulfillment,
Yeah.
intimacy fulfillment,
Yeah.
the commitment is clear. You know, all of those things. If you cannot be really, you know, be yourself, be many version
Of yourself.
of yourself with your partner, then I'm not considered that as happy. But most likely in Indonesia, they think like,
Denial.
All
we go.
So
Deny,
that's the thing
deny,
about dealing with
deny.
your alter ego. All right, myth or fact? Only men cheat. Women rarely do.
It's been proven recently, right?
yeah.
It's been proven.
All right, that's myth.
myth, that's myth.
All right, so
Clear
we,
myth.
we need no explanations.
Because women also seek for satisfaction, not just men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, myth or fact? Couples who cheat can never rebuild trust.
Ah, this is tough.
Fact.
That's tough.
I'm gonna say fact.
Yani said fact, Kai said myth. So is it a myth or fact?
It's 50-50 though.
Because I have seen where it's possible, but it's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work. One time, some people in the social media asking me like, Zoya, when is actually the happiest time for a couples?
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, wow, that's a good question. What I saw, what I witnessing is couple who actually like get through like affair, and they working out together, and they grow in love together. I saw like how happy they are than never been before. But yeah, that's hard work.
All right. So I know it is not enough. I know that you want to know more and you want
a
to ask.
special hour just coffee and tea
do.
with Miss Zoya.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously so much to talk about when it comes to adulthood.
We should have 4 segments. All right, Zoya Amirin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a joy to have you here.
Fun,
Usually
as
in the
always.
morning, now in the afternoon. And we certainly hope that we could actually get you back here with more topics.
Yes.
Because certainly we need some myth busters.
Well, I know
Yeah.
6 o'clock is usually not time for coffee or tea, but it's always time for dessert. So let's have the dessert, right?
All right.
True.